All right, let's bring it back to the committee. Questions by committee members. Senator Min.
Thank you, Chairman Burke, and thank you, authors, for bringing this bill forward. I know that there's clearly a problem with court reporters around the state. I do think there's probably some variance there, and this is clearly a problem that has affected a lot of people in access to justice, which I think is why there's so many groups in support of it. At the same time, it's not clear to me what the cause of the court reporter shortage is. Is it COVID? Is it the pay? Is it something more systematic and permanent than that? And I've heard different theories, including from my wife who practices in domestic violence. And I know that the partnership is here on behalf of the bill, but I've also heard, horror stories about problems with electronic recording. And having a live person in the room does obviously help, because there are times when electronic recordings do lead to mumbling, inaudible comments and the like. And so I do have deep concerns with this bill. I know that the analysis reflected some of those. I think it describes the bill as implementing a sea change in how reporting would be done. Potential issues they describe include inaccuracies in recording and no guardrails against this, a lack of clarity on how every effort to hire a court reporter requirement would be enforced. And it does suggest some alternative methods. And I know you and I talked last night about some potential amendments that would help me. And I don't know if you're still willing to take those, but we talked about potentially a sunset, potentially limiting it to certain classes. And I guess my main concern is this looks like a permanent long-term solution to a problem that the opposition believes is temporary, I'm not clear on how structural this problem is. Can we fix the shortage of court reporters? Will this lead to basically a bunch of people losing their jobs as we get to electronic recording? Will it lead to wholesale flaws in transcripts? And so, I'm really torn on this bill. And I guess my first question is, are you considering amendments on this bill still? And I know you said you would think about that last night, and I didn't hear back from you. So,
well, thank you for your question. And yeah, there was no amendments offered here by this committee, but my commitment was to continue to work on the bill. I think you missed the first part of the presentation.
I did.
I just heard you say this is, the beginning of everyone being able to record electronically, but my presentation included the fact that this bill allows those that cannot pass a certification up to 3 years to be certified and immediately get into courts to be able to practice while they pass their certification. So by way of example, I made this this example. 222 candidates took the test in 2022, and out of the 222, only 54 passed it. If we leave things alone, you would have approximately 168 candidates just sitting around waiting for yours to be certified.
Sure.
Under my bill, those 168 individuals, real people, would be in the court working, trying to fill those vacancies. So this is not opening it up for permanent recordings. This is trying to figure out how do we get bodies in the courts, which is a real problem. And I think the one thing we could all agree is, no matter what side you land on, is that it is an issue and we need to solve it. And there are so many victims right now that are currently suffering the consequences of lack of court reporters. So it does it's a pathway to help court reporters get certified.
So just to be clear, that's not the part of the bill that I find problematic. It's more the fact that if a court makes every effort available and cannot find a court reporter, then they can go to electronic. And I know there are concerns that will lead to some courts just not really making every effort available. And since there's I think the analysis knows this, since there's no real enforcement mechanism, that might lead to large parts of our judicial system moving to electronic, and I think that's the fear of the opposition. So, I know you work hard on your bills. I'm honestly still thinking about this. In addition to the sunset and maybe narrowing it, I do think there need to be guardrails against errors in transcription. I'm not sure what those should be. So I'm going to think about this and watch the rest of the debate. But I do, this is a real problem, and I appreciate you bringing this forward.
Thank you, Senator.